Hello and welcome to another Esri Canada video tutorial. In this tutorial, you will be introduced to a number of the most commonly used geoprocessing tools provided with ArcGIS for Desktop 10. Geoprocessing tools allow you to aggregate data based on various tabular and spatial relationships. It's easiest to think about them as a collection of logical processes that connect input data with various analyses to produce outputs. For more information on geoprocessing, please read the background information section in the associated geoprocessing tutorial handout. In this tutorial, you'll use the Merge, Clip, Dissolve, Intersect, Union, and Buffer tools to complete a number of analysis tasks on Canadian data. The data for this tutorial can be found on the Esri Canada Education and Research website. Let's begin by extracting the data that you will use in this tutorial. Navigate to the Geoproc 10x zip file which you downloaded. Unzip the data to a location that is easy to remember. In this video, we will be using the C drive. Once the data has been unzipped, open ArcMap. The first tool that we will use is the Merge tool. The Merge tool allows you to combine two or more layers of the same geometric type. The output is a new dataset that contains both input layers along with their combined attribute information. In this section, we will use the Merge tool to merge three separate provincial boundary layers into a single prairies layer. Once ArcMap is loaded, click Cancel in the Getting Started window that appears. Select the Add Data icon and navigate to the Geoproc 10x folder. You may need to connect to the folder first. Once you are there, highlight ab.shape, mb.shape, and sk.shape. When you have highlighted them all, click Add. The shapefiles contain boundary data for the provinces of Alberta, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan. In the table of contents, change the name of the layer's data frame to Merge. Open the Geoprocessing menu and select Merge. Select all three layers from the table of contents and drag them into the Input Datasets section of the new window. Make sure that the output is going to the Geoproc 10x folder and change the output name to Prairies. When you are finished, click OK to execute the merge. The Merge tool is combining the three separate input layers into a single new layer. The new Prairies layer should now be visible in the table of contents. Notice that the three provinces now display as a single layer. Try viewing the attribute table for the Prairies layer to confirm this. Let's now try out the Clip tool. The Clip tool is useful for focusing your analysis by clipping your data to a defined area. Clipping your data will cut down on the overall file size of your project, improve geoprocessing speeds, and remove irrelevant data. In this section, we will use the Clip tool to clip the Railroads of Canada layer to the provincial boundary for Ontario. Insert a new data frame to your map and rename it as Clip. Click the Add Data icon and add on.shape and rail.shape to your map. Open the Geoprocessing menu and select Clip. Set your input feature as the rail layer. Choose the Ontario layer as your clip feature. Give your output feature the name rail_clip and click OK to execute the clip. The Clip tool is clipping the Railways layer to the provincial boundary of Ontario. The final output will contain only railways that are within the province of Ontario. Try updating the rail clip symbology to help differentiate it from the underlying rail layer. The next tool we will use is the Buffer tool. The Buffer tool is one of the most frequently used tools in any GIS analysis. The Buffer tool works by creating zones within a specified distance of a selected feature. Buffers can be created for multiple points, and multiple buffers of varying distances can be made for a single point. Buffer distances can also be determined based on an attribute field. Intersecting buffers can be set to merge with one another. In this section, we will use the Buffer tool to highlight areas in Ontario that are affected by the sound of passing trains and their air horns. Insert a new data frame. Give it the title Buffer. Click the Add Data icon and add on.shape and rail_clip.shape. The rail_clip shapefile was created as the output for the Clip tool. Open the Geoprocessing menu and select Buffer. Set the rail_clip layer as your input feature. Give your buffer a linear unit distance of 100 meters and set the dissolve type to all. Name your output feature buffer100m.shape and save it to the Geoproc10x folder. Click OK to execute the buffer. The buffer tool is now creating zones that cover all areas in Ontario that are within 100 meters of a railway. The finished buffer should automatically be added to the table of contents. Try creating an additional 4 buffers with the following linear distances: 500 meters, 1 kilometer, 2.5 kilometers, and 5 kilometers. When you are finished, your map should look like this. You may have to rearrange the order that the layers are listed in your table of contents so that they will display properly on your map. The Dissolve tool allows you to aggregate data together based on common attributes. The result is a simplified map that highlights a specific aspect of your data. In this section, you will dissolve the Alberta soils dataset based on common drainage types in order to produce a simplified view of drainage patterns in Alberta. Insert a new data frame. Give it the title Dissolve. Click the Add Data icon and add absoil.shape. Notice that the layer is made up of a number of smaller areas. Open the attribute table for the AB soil layer. Notice that a number of these records share a common value in the E_drainage field. Close the attribute table. From the Geoprocessing menu, select Dissolve. Set the AB soil layer as your input feature. Name your output feature absoil_dissolve and save it to the Geoproc10x folder. In the Dissolve field section, place a check mark next to the E_drainage field. This will aggregate all the AB soil records that share the same E_drainage value and dissolve the boundaries between them. Click OK to execute the dissolve. The new layer should automatically be added to your map. Notice how the new layer is far less cluttered. If you examine the attribute table, you will notice that there are now only 8 distinct records in the layer. The Intersect tool is used to find areas where 2 or more features overlap. In this section, you will use the Intersect tool to find out which areas in Alberta are both well-drained and possess either black or dark brown kernel soils, thus meeting the basic criteria for a grain farm. Areas with black or dark brown kernel soils are rich in humus and are therefore well suited for farming and agriculture. Insert a new data frame. Give it the title Intersect. Click the Add Data icon and add kernel.shape, well-drained.shape, and ab.shape. From the Geoprocessing menu, select Intersect. In the Input Features section, select the kernel and well-drained layers. Name your output feature Ideal Agric and save it to the Geoproc10x folder. Click OK to execute the Intersect. Uncheck the kernel and well-drained layers in your table of contents. Your map now displays areas in Alberta that are both well-drained and possess black or dark brown kernel soils. Take a look at the new layer's attribute table. Notice that the layer contains 2 records, one for well-drained areas with black kernel soils, and one for well-drained areas with dark brown kernel soils. The final tool that we will cover is the Union tool. The Union tool is used to merge polygon features and to determine how they intersect with one another. Unlike the Intersect tool, the Union operation does not clip the features to the areas that overlap. In this section, you will use the Union tool to examine how blanket bogs and soils with imperfect drainage conditions relate to one another. Insert a new data frame. Give it the title Union. Click the Add Data icon and add blanketbog.shape and imperfectdrain.shape. From the Geoprocessing menu, select Union. In the Input Features section, select the Blanket Bog and Imperfect Drain layers. Name your output feature Poor Agric and save it to the Geoproc10x folder. Click OK to execute the Union. The Union operation does not clip the output data to only the areas that overlap. Instead, the operation has merged together the 2 input features to create more combined features than either of the 2 input layers individually had. open the attribute table for the new layer. In this example, there are only 2 records in the output attribute table. This occurs because the blanket bog and imperfect terrain layers do not overlap. If they were to overlap, a 3rd record would be added to the attribute table that contains areas that do overlap. Congratulations! You have now successfully used a number of the core geoprocessing tools that are provided with ArcGIS for Desktop 10X. If you would like to learn how to do more with your newly created data, visit any of our other tutorials for ArcGIS.